Yes, and thanks for staying with us. And that was a short overview of Golden Palm Growers. Berhad in the studio with us to tell us more as the man who started all of this, and Rupang, who is Executive Chairman. Welcome, and Ruth, to our show, SWOTWatch. Now, can you tell us in your own words, and of course, this is to do with the concept of your business. What is the concept like?
Well, we are a plantation developer. You've heard of property developers, housing developers, but we're a little bit different. We're plantation developers because we go out and look for land that is ideal for oil palm cultivation. And then we seek to develop the plantation in an economically viable manner, of course. And we then aim to make investment in the plantation accessible to the man on the street.
And how is that made accessible, like you said?
Well, if you look at the structure of our investment scheme, we have packaged it in such a way that the entry price for the investment is very affordable. For as little as 7,000 ringgit.
For how large a plot of land?
You get to acquire a quarter-acre share of our plantation. There is no maximum limit, so if you're a big player, you can obviously buy more. But if you are a retail investor, quarter acre is the minimum.
So with 7,000 ringgit, you get a quarter of an acre?
That's correct. For 7,000 ringgit, you get a quarter acre share in the profits of the plantation.
What's the return of investment like?
Well, you need to understand the plantation industry a little bit, because an oil palm plantation has a long gestation period. It's 30 months from the day you plant into the ground before the trees start to fruit. And it's another, it takes you up to 6 years before commercial yields are reached. So during that 6-year period, while the trees are growing, we will pay investors a fixed return of 6% a year. That's twice the rate you get in a fixed deposit. And that return is guaranteed, and it's guaranteed by cash, so there's no risk on that investment.
Okay. So once it bears fruit, what happens?
Once it bears fruit from year 7, for 17 years, we then distribute 100% of net profits from the plantation. And as an investor, you get your proportionate share. So it's very unique because there's no other scheme that gives a retail investor a direct share of profits in an oil palm plantation. So it's very exciting.
So it promises returns, definitely.
If you look at the history of and the trends of palm oil prices, you will see that over the long term, palm oil prices have always risen. Over the last 20 years, they've risen 7% a year on average.
And it was recently at its highest, over 3,000 ringgit per ton.
It's hitting 3,900 to 4,000, which is the highest since early 2008.
And that's, of course, because of the surge in demand.
There's continuing strong demand for palm oil. And that's because the economies of countries like China and India continue to grow. And as people get wealthier, they look to better quality oils like palm oil.
Do you see this high demand, remaining for the rest of 2011, perhaps?
Most definitely, I think, and beyond. Because palm oil is known as a golden crop because it has many uses. It's not just food, but there are also many non-food uses. And so demand will continue to grow. And that's what makes this investment very exciting.
Great. And the whole idea of this sort of business, like, your investors paying 7,000 for a quarter of an acre and all that, where do you get that idea from? It's very unique.
It is unique. It's actually a natural extension of our downstream businesses in the palm oil value chain. We started off in the palm oil biodiesel business, and we've naturally moved upstream to the plantation business. And when we looked at a business model for this, we realized that funding for a plantation it's very expensive. The capital cost of establishing a plantation is high. And for us, if we were to share some of that asset with the public, it means we can do many more plantations. We get a smaller share, but albeit in a larger number of plantations. And so that's how we've built our business model. And that's why we term ourselves as a plantation developer.
Great. And how many investors do you have currently?
Currently, we have about 700.
700.
It's a fantastic response we have had.
Okay, great. And over a span of 11,000 hectares?
We have 11,000 acres, although for the scheme that we've launched, we've allocated 7,000 acres for this scheme.
And what's your target investors? Target number of investors?
We actually don't have a target number of investors. We have 7,000 acres, which means we have available for sale 19,600 quarter acre plots. And that's because we are ourselves retaining 30% of those, because we believe in the business. And of the 19,600, we have a program sailed because we're trying to sell grower plots as we need the funds for the development of the plantation.
Okay, great. And how much balance do you have right now for investors to take up?
Well, we've actually almost sold out tranche 1 of our sales, and because the response has been so good. And at the end of this month, on 20th February, we will release tranche 2, of course at a slightly higher price. So those of you who've got in tranche 1 will really benefit.
Yeah, I would look at this as kind of challenging as well, to convince people with the kind of business that you're doing, you know, to come and invest and, you know, put in their 7,000, for example, or even more. Was that one of the main challenges that you had to face, you know, to convince people about your business plan?
Indeed, indeed. We are a relatively young company, so creating awareness of who we are and what we do has been a challenge. And the kind of business. Although we're helped by the fact that the oil palm industry is not new in Malaysia. It's got a 50, 100-year history in this country. So people here know about the industry. It's also helped.
Industry is here to stay?
It's here to stay. Yeah. It's one of the key NKEAs in our economic transformation program.
Yes.
There's very strong government support for it. And if you look at the current prices of palm oil, you'll find the returns that you potentially will gain from this investment is fantastic.
So what do you do to attract them?
Well, we've got a whole marketing team that is out there to try to educate the investor. We get out as much information as we can, because the industry is a long-term industry, and so I think education is the key. People need to understand that when you invest in palm oil, if you can be patient and sit out the life cycle of an oil palm tree, you will certainly gain the rewards.
Great. Now, how long do you see your business, you know, sustaining or being here or staying? You know, how long are you going to do this?
I think we are in for the long haul. In the palm oil industry, one cycle for a palm oil tree is 23 years. And so the scheme that we've launched is for a 23-year period. The land that we have, however, is a 90-year lease, effectively. And so we can do many more cycles after this 23-year period.
Right. So you're telling me the investors just have to, for once, just put in that 7,000
ringgit.
And over the years, they get back returns in terms of interest.
They get back returns, 6% fixed for the first 6 years, and then you enjoy a profit share. And at today's palm oil prices, you will enjoy double-digit returns. You peak at 20-23% returns, which is fantastic.
Great. And can you give us an idea, perhaps, of one of the investors, with 7,000, how much can they make in a month? Just from the top of your head.
During your first 6 years, 6% of 7,000 is 420 ringgit. That's a lot. That's a lot. It's twice what you get in a fixed deposit.
Great. Okay.
And after that, it's even better because of the high palm oil prices.
Right. And this is, of course, going to remain for the rest of the year and beyond.
It will remain for the rest of the year and beyond.
Talking about. Okay, we'll need to take a short commercial break. And of course, we'll have something more exciting as well after this, which is, of course, the operations at Gua Musang, where this investment is at its hype. Stay with us on SWOTWatch.
Invest and soar with Golden Palm Growers Scheme. A unique and rare investment opportunity begins here. Golden Palm Growers Scheme is a sound investment, as palm oil prices have gained 7% over the past 20 years and continue to grow steadily. So purchase a right to yield from a quarter-acre oil palm plot for just 8,000 ringgit. Golden Palm Growers is audited by Ernst & Young and is held in trust by AM Trustee Berhad, an investment scheme approved by SSM under the Companies Act 1965. Call 1-800-888-800 or visit goldenpalm.com.my for more information.